President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to deliver the eulogy in the Groote Kerk in Cape Town today at the State Memorial Service for South Africa's last apartheid-era president and deputy president in the 1994 Government of National Unity FW de Klerk. He died at the age of 85 at his home in Fresnay last month after a battle with cancer. The service for de Klerk will be held at one of the oldest churches in Cape Town, the Groote Kerk. He was buried in a private ceremony last month. There will be numerous road closures around Groote Kerk in the CBD, including one lane of Arderley Street between Parliament and Long Market Street. Attendance will be limited due to COVID-19 regulations.
A state memorial service will be held for de Klerk at one of the oldest churches in Cape Town. On the day of his passing, the FW de Klerk Foundation released a video of de Klerk's last message to the people of South Africa. In it, he apologized unreservedly for apartheid. Some political analysts say de Klerk was among those in the National Party responsible for the implementation of some questionable and controversial apartheid policies. The Deputy Dean of Research at the University of the Western Cape says de Klerk squandered the opportunity to set the record straight during the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and says the apology in his last message is a little too late.
Since taking over as the president of the country, he initiated the process of negotiating with the former liberation movements. And then subsequently, he was responsible for releasing the likes of Nelson Mandela and others. He was also responsible for unbanning the MK, unbanning APLA and a couple of other liberation movements. And then not only did he do that, he also participated in the negotiation process, CODESA 1, CODESA 2, up to the elections in 1994. And then above all, he agreed to be part of the Government of National Unity, when some were saying that there was no way that whites would work with black people. But in this case, he was one of the deputy presidents.
A historian and Cape Town-based academic says his impressions of FW de Klerk is one of a frank and straightforward person who didn't have hidden motives. Herman Giliumee says as a loyalist of the National Party in the 1980s, de Klerk became more convinced that apartheid was not a moral policy.
Such momentous responsibilities, that I was fortunate, never been in such a situation, would be very loath to pass a very severe judgment. I think he tried his very best. He did what he thought was the right thing to do. He didn't fully understand his opposition. And if someone is to blame for the shortcomings of the settlement, then the ANC must carry as much blame for that as he does,
De Klerk's family had a private funeral service and the media was not allowed. Mariska Botha, SABC News, Cape Town.
And for a preview on what to expect today, we cross live to our SABC reporter, Abra Babia. Abra, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to paint us a picture and set the scene for us of what's happening outside the church at the moment?
CPV, good morning to you as well. Yes, as you just heard, my colleague Mariska Botha painted she gave a good overview in that package that you just played of exactly who FW was and the role that he played in this country. And of course, all of that feeds into today and the fact that the state is giving this memorial service today. Already that in itself is a very contentious issue. Some sectors of society have condemned this, saying that they can't understand why Cyril Ramaphosa's government have opted to go this route, saying that FW de Klerk does not deserve it. Of course, there are two schools of thought on this issue. What I can tell you, just in terms of a preview, coming into Cape Town this morning, it almost feels like it's the State of the Nation address today. And I'm talking about road closures, I'm talking about police presence, I'm talking about barricades. The roads are all barricaded. There's a heavy police presence, lots of security today. Even myself, who works at Parliament, myself and my colleagues, we had to go through a rigorous accreditation process. Again, obviously screening, COVID-19 screening processes were all in place, but that's all done and dusted now. What I can tell you is we are outside the Groote Kerk, which is known as the old oldest place of Christian worship in South Africa. It's right across the way from the parliamentary precinct. You can hear the organ playing inside. The Cape Town Philharmonic Orchestra, they've been warming up and rehearsing since they got here earlier this morning. Various dignitaries have started arriving. I think it was the Minister in the Presidency, Mondle Gungubele, who is the program director today. I saw him arriving here as well a few minutes ago. So that is what's happening by way of activities right now. In terms of the program itself, the first part is taking place in two parts. Part one of the service, it kicks off with a private family service. That starts now just after 9 o'clock. Of course, as I said, it's a family service. After then, the state memorial, the official part will commence, I think at 10:30. Archbishop Thabo Makgoba will be, he has arrived. We saw him arriving. He'll be saying a prayer. There will be tributes from FW de Klerk's children, from his wife Elita de Klerk. Lady Smith Black Mambazo will be taking part in the proceedings as well by way of a video. Former president of the former Soviet Union President Gorbachev. There's a tribute by him as well, a video tribute by him as well, as I understand. And then, of course, the eulogy will be done by President Cyril Ramaphosa. From where I'm standing, we're hoping that the proceedings are going to run smoothly. We are hoping that there won't be disruptions, of course. So that is what's happening at the moment. It sounds like proceedings are going to be kicking off very, very soon. We, of course, will be here on the steps. We'll also be live throughout the service to be bringing you updates on how things pan out throughout the day.
From what you've gathered, from what you've heard, from what you've observed, is FW de Klerk a celebrated man?
Oh, that's a very tough question. It's a very tough question to ask. As I said earlier, two schools of thought. You have extremes on this matter. I think that, if just look at my Twitter feed this morning, for instance, I was tweeting on the SABC platforms, and the response that I was getting there will show you just how polarized South Africa is on that issue. We have people saying, well done, President Ramaphosa, for celebrating this man. He can be described as the man who was behind dismantling apartheid in the country. He is a former president. He was a former deputy president in the government of national unity. He is the one who announced the release of Madiba from prison, disbanding or releasing political prisoners. So you have that school of thought, or people saying his due must be given. And then, of course, the complete opposite view on the other side. People saying he didn't come forth and open up enough about what exactly he knew about during the apartheid era atrocities. Families still don't know where their loved ones are. Families still don't know what happened to their loved ones. And there are many people who still feel that his apology was it just came too late, and that he could have said more just to give people closure.
Barbara, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for that update. We'll be coming to you a little later on the show. There is our reporter, Abra Babia, outside the Groote Kerk, which is the church, South Africa's oldest church, and it's where the memorial service for the late FW de Klerk will be held. And as we've heard Abra Babia earlier on, she said that it'll be the private family funeral service, or rather memorial service, that will be taking place, and the official memorial service will be taking place at around 10:30. These are the live visuals coming out of the Groote Kerk in Cape Town, and South Africa's oldest church, which will be hosting the memorial service for the late FW de Klerk, and President Cyril Ramaphosa will be delivering the eulogy in this service.